Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do my weekly reading update for April 21st, 2019. This has been a kind of hard reading week for me. It really wasn't the reading that was the problem. It was just I've been having, I just have some off weeks. This was an off week. Work was kind of some social things kind of and then I wasn't feeling up for doing a lot of stuff. I admit I don't really know what happened this week in a lot of ways. I mean, I did my work and I did other things, but I don't know. I felt really off. So my reading was kind of slow for most of the week. I did spend all day yesterday reading, which was awesome. I didn't do anything else. I think I went grocery shopping in the morning, and then I just pretty much didn't do anything else. I pretty much just gave myself a day to kind of immerse myself in my tome topple. So anyway, so I'm just going to go through the books that I did finish this week, the books I'm in the middle of, and what I think I'm going to be reading in the next week. So even though I had started my tome topple book on last Saturday, and then all this week, I was also rereading a book at the time. So I finished my reread of Written in Red by Anne Bishop. You guys, I've talked about this so much, but it is one of my new favorite series. So expect to see the other ones being reread at some point too. I loved the reread on this. This was fantastic. I loved it just as much, and I really am thinking this is going to be a series I am going to pick up and reread. I do want to read the next one. Because I was doing tome topple, I didn't pick up another book, but I was so tempted when I was having off days. Because rereads are something that I do fairly frequently, but I also do it when I just feel off or I don't feel like reading anything new. And I almost came very close to picking up the next one, but I did not. I held myself. I did finish this though. I did put Tome Topple on hold on Sunday to finish this, just because I wanted to read it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, this is an urban fantasy, alternate history, with vampires and werewolves and other things, and the humans are not as prevalent, and they really want more land, but the others are holding them off. And it's mostly talking about one little community and what happens when Blood Prophet comes into their midst, and how that changes things. And I love these characters. It just makes me so happy because it's funny, and but it's heartbreaking, and has all the action that I like to. It's just I really love these books. As I said, I've talked about it a lot, and I'll probably continue talking about them because they were awesome. So then I returned to my tome topple. So I do want to say I did finish God's Last Breath by Sam Sykes yesterday. So this took me all week to read, but it really, I mean, again, the book is 666 pages. So, I mean, that's actually pretty good for me to read that much in a week on certain things. Like, there's certain books that I fly through. Big epic fantasies, that's probably about normal. There were a couple of days where I didn't get a whole lot of reading done, and then I had a couple good days, and then of course yesterday I just finished. I had almost half of the book left, and I just wanted to be done, so I spent yesterday reading this. And I don't mean that as it's the book's fault, because I don't. This was actually a really good ending to the Bring Down Heaven trilogy. I read the other two, The City Stained Red and Mortal Tally, last year, and I should have read this right afterwards. I had trouble starting this because I couldn't remember everything, even though there was a lot of good cliffhangers and stuff at the end of the Mortal Tally. I can't say that today, sorry guys. It took me a while to get back into this, and it was my own fault. The book itself was not its fault. This is definitely a trilogy I would recommend reading pretty close together, so that you remember the details. There are a lot of characters in this. Again, it's epic fantasy. and it's pretty much centers around a city and the adventures that come there and how everything kind of just goes to shit real quick. Anyway, sorry. I really enjoyed this overall. I was a little concerned again in not the very beginning of this book, but like the second quarter of it, I was kind of like, oh, I don't know. This is not going, maybe not going the way I wanted it to, but that really wasn't the problem. It really was, I was just in a weird mood, I guess. And I would say overall, this was still a really great third book to a trilogy, and it wrapped up really well. I actually was surprised about a lot of things, and then other things I kind of guessed, but mostly I didn't guess the way it would actually go. So that is always good for me. Again, these characters are just, they're funny they're adventurers who, you know, I don't know how to explain it. So, as I said, it's just epic fantasy, but it's funny, but it also has all the feels. I think that's how I want to put it. I did enjoy this series. I think, because the first series by him, with Eon's Gate and oh, I can't think of the name of it right now. It was Tome of the Undergates, Black Hollow, and so it's Eon's Gates trilogy is the first one. That trilogy was good, but you could tell he was a new writer, and these ones are written so much better. But I think in some ways I liked the first trilogy better, just because of the things that happened. But this is a progression of the same characters, so I think it went really well. Anyway, that probably doesn't make any sense. I'm trying to say that I liked both trilogies, but I think the first one to me was a little more fun. This one was much more epic, and this is much more hard hitting, and the characters grow a lot more and go in different directions, and I did like that. I guess that's how I want to say it. So anyway, but he, as I said, I do have another book of his that just came out recently. I'm probably going to give myself a few months before I read another book of his, because again, that's the first one in another series, and I'm not going to get the next book until at least next year or maybe later. So I might hold it. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I really did enjoy this. I'm glad I picked it up for Tome Topple. I think I picked up the Mortal Tally for last Tome Topple, or maybe the last two when I read the last ones. But anyway, this is finally done. I've finished the trilogy. I have technically finished 2 series this month, which is pretty good for me. As I said, I'm trying to get better at my series, and I'm not doing that stacking the series thing that Steeped in Books, Sarah's over there doing that, and I kind of want to now because I have finished 3 series this year, and I'm in the progress of a couple that I'm making progress on. So now I'm kind of thinking I want to go back through and see what I have and what I can count, but I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, so I did enjoy that, and I'm glad I got that done. And as I said, it was for Tome Topple. So last night I kind of gave myself a little break because I'd been reading all day and tried to decide. I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, sorry. Tried to decide what I wanted to read next. And I'm gonna sneeze. Oh god, yeah, no, sorry guys. And I did have a couple of other choices for Tome Topple, and I wanted to see how I felt. And I decided I did not want to start another series. It was a sci-fi series. I just said, oh, okay, no. And then the other book was a historical fiction, and I was kind of like, I do want to read that this year, but I'm like, oh, let's just wait. So I decided to go with the book that I was the most scared of, pretty much, but also was already on my TBR for earlier, of a book that I'd started and wanted to complete or decide if I'm going to DNF completely. So I picked up The Tenant of Wellfell Hall by Anne Bronte. So again, this book I picked it up in October for Victober, and I had been so excited because I loved Agnes Grey, and I wanted to read Anne Bronte's other book, and I was so disappointed in the beginning. And it's so funny, I keep seeing reviews on this about other people who read it and they're raving about it, and I'm like, I don't get it. So if you guys know or heard my rants about this, I got to chapter 14 and nearly threw the book across the room because I was so pissed off at the narrator in the first part of the book, Gilbert. So because he does something super stupid, and I'm just like, Anyway, so I just don't like him, and I don't think you're supposed to like him, but that doesn't mean I want to read about him either, because I think he's an idiot. Anyway, a jerk, pretty much a jerk, let's just put it that way. Anyway, but I decided that, okay, I was 20 pages from where the narrative switches to Helen's story. So again, Helen moves to the neighborhood, and the small town is kind of like gossipy about what she's doing there, why is she there with her young son and no husband, and they want to know her story, but she doesn't want to talk about it. And so there's all these rumors going around, and so the part where I just started, was the next section, is actually her diary of what happened to her, and that's going to be the bulk of the story. So I'm hoping that redeems this book for me. I'm not sure. As I said, I've seen other people review it, and they talk about the beginning and how engaging it was and stuff, and I'm like, God, I don't get it. I don't understand. Anyway, I think I need to get through Helen's part in the middle, and then I know Gilbert takes over again in the end. I'm not looking forward to the last 100 pages from his perspective again. Yes, I did check ahead because I wanted to see how much I had to deal with him. But we'll see how this goes. So I picked this one up because it was kind of a challenge. It was one of the books that I had kind of DNF'd last year, but was still on my currently reading, that I wanted to give it one more shot. So here's my shot. So we'll see what happens. I don't know what you guys thought about Wellfell Hall. I don't know. I hate chapter 14. But I got past it. I am now into chapter 16 or 17. So I'm working my way. So I don't, so I'm about 140 pages in now. So out of, I think it's like 524. So technically, yes, I'm not, for a tome topple, it counts because it's over 500 pages. But I did read some of this before. But because it's a classic, I'm not going to read it quite as fast as I would on a nowadays novel. So I thought, I'll still count this. And again, it's one of those books that it's intimidating, which is what tomes usually feel like. So anyway, I'm going to do that. And then, so I'm going to hopefully finish that off by Friday. We'll see how that goes. Because again, I have 400 pages left of that to read. I have picked up the Unabridged Diaries of Sylvia Plath a little bit, but this is still a book that I pick up very rarely. It's just going to be here and there. I just have to be kind of in the mood for it. Because she writes so beautifully. It just hurts that somebody that young was writing entries like this in her journal. That is so beautiful. And then they're so heartbreaking because you just know, because again, I'm only at the point where she's 18. So it's just hard to read the stuff about the the teenage years and the things people go through and going away to college for the first time and stuff. So, and it's going to be hard reading. And again, I'll be reading it probably for months, but I just wanted to point out, I did read some pages this week. Not very many, but I did pick it up a little bit. And then I haven't touched my audiobook, but The Calculating Stars by Mary Robinette Kowal. I just have to be in the mood for audiobook again. I was really enjoying this. I was just over 100 pages in. So I do want to read this. I just took a break because I was reading other things, and I'm not listening to anything right now. My brain doesn't want to function that early in the morning on my driving to work, and so I just let it listen to music. So anyway, so I don't know what I'm going to pick up after The Tenant of Wellfell Hall, either if I finish it or decide not to read it. But I do have a stack of library books. I know I've been doing so well about not getting stuff for the library, but 2 books were new books that came out that I had put a hold on many months ago. So I do want to try to read those. I also have 1 book that I want to try for Aussie April, because I didn't really participate because I had so many other big books this month. So we'll see what happens. As I said, I have some library books. I'm hoping to pick up a few of them or maybe try the chapters and decide if I want to read them now or get them later. Beyond that, I still have tons and tons of books I can pick up from, so I'm not sure what I'll feel like. But I will try to focus on those library books just to see if I want to read them. I don't know. We'll find out. So that is kind of it. As I said, it was kind of an odd week. It's been an odd week. I'm feeling better now that yesterday was kind of like a decompressed day, and I think I'm doing better that way. I don't think there's anything else except that if you guys have seen my Q&A announcement video went up yesterday for my 2-year anniversary. Thought I would do a question and answer session. So if you would like to ask questions, I will link that video down below, and you guys can go and just ask questions. No big deal. Anyway, I think that's it. I hope you guys are having a good weekend, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.